Hey guys, I'm here to do a Stanley Kubrick review for you today. It's 2001 A Space Odyssey. Now, I remember the first time I saw this movie. I got it off Netflix. And, it was one of those jaw-dropping movies. I was like, my mouth was wide open. And my eyes were not wide shut when I watched it. This was definitely Stanley Kubrick's first true epic movie he's ever made. Came out in 1968, and the special effects at that time were stunning. Even today, the effects in this movie are matched by today's standards. It's based on a short story called The Sentinel by Arthur C. Clarke, and then Arthur C. Clarke adapted it into a novel, which I have. And I haven't read any of the sequels, and I haven't seen 2010. Came out in 1968. We have Delia, Gary Lockwood, and it was written by Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke. And the movie is about these scientists discover a crystal monolith on the moon. And they send these astronauts on and then the movie skips to these astronauts being sent on a mission, and we don't know what their mission is. And there's 6 astronauts on board, and 2 of the 6 are are operating the ship, and then the other 4 are like in this hypersleep, and they're on this spaceship, I'm gonna call it, with a new high-tech computer called the HAL 9000. And basically, this HAL 9000 is the most sophisticated computer ever invented by 2001. And what happens is HAL detects a fault in like a satellite thing on this ship, and the scientists end up believing HAL, and they take this satellite thing and they start to examine it, and they find out that there was nothing wrong with this satellite, and they're thinking that maybe HAL is starting to malfunction. And HAL finds out what the scientists have discovered, and in order to make sure the mission is still going to be completed, he kills the 4 astronauts that are in hypersleep. I'm going to call it hypersleep, by like cutting off their life support stuff. And then he kills the other astronaut, one of them, by he's on a like a moonwalk. He's outside of the ship, repairing something, and Hal cuts the air tube, and the other astronaut is now floating in space. And it's the last astronaut is David Bowman, who is cured Delia, that's his real name, and he has to find them, and he has to finish the mission. And he shuts down Hal, because Hal is now dangerous. And now we find out that they were going to Jupiter because this monolith had connections to Jupiter. Now, the ending of this movie I cannot explain to you. You just have to watch the movie, because what happens is David Bowman goes into this, like, I'm going to call it like hyperspeed, or light speed, kind of like Star Wars. There's this mystical thing going on for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes, then it stops. And now we're in this room, and we see David Bowman as an old man, a young David Bowman looking upon himself as an old man. Then it keeps cutting back to like David Bowman as an old man and all this stuff. And then the movie ends with David Bowman as a baby floating in space, and that's the end of the movie. What does this ending mean? I don't know. I never will know. The book doesn't really explain it that much either, even though the book kind of and gives us some backstory on the movie. I mean, I do like the movie better than the book, but the book kind of gives you, maybe if you didn't understand the movie, you can read the book afterwards. But really good Stanley Kubrick movie. It's not one of my favorites, particularly because it's so hard to understand. I mean, I know a lot of Kubrick's movies were like that, but sometimes I find it boring considering the first lines of dialogue are not spoken until about a half hour into the movie. But it's got a great musical soundtrack, great effects, and the DVD looks amazing, and I have this on Blu-ray as well. And it's got great bonus features, but definitely his first epic movie, and people will can't talk. People will remember him for this movie, forever. Definitely, one of his classics, even though it's not one of my favorites, but 2001: A Space Odyssey, it's a terrific movie, and you wouldn't want to miss it out.